decides to call me again. Because she doesn't understand the concept of leaf colors. I need to get under my blankets because it's cold in here.
Get under the blanket. Be warm.
The guy that lives, he likes to set the thermostat to 76 degrees when he leaves for work, and then he sets it to 74 when he gets back. And 74 is why I have to walk around with my grandmother's house coat on all the time because I'm freezing to death. Because I'm an absolute pansy when it comes to being cold.
Cover up. Cover up, and you warm.
Oh, no, I'm comfortable.
That's good.
And I don't know what to do because I didn't have a plan.
That might have been important.
Maybe I should read something.
Maybe you should. Dramatic reading.
Dramatic reading. What should I read? Oh, maybe I should read Scarecrow's origin story or something.
You could. Feel free.
I mean, because that one shot that thing out in 10 hours or something, and literally I sat there and I wrote the entire thing as I was listening to a book reading of The Maze Runner on YouTube. And it was a 12-hour reading, and I finished it 2 hours before the reading ended, so it was a 10-hour thing.
I mean, that's a good way to track your time.
I want to recheck and see how many words it was. It was long.
It was indeed very long.
Here we go. Check the link. And it always looks so much shorter when you post it on DeviantArt.
I know. I don't know why that is.
I don't know, because you'll write it in an actual writing program on your computer, and it looks really long, and then you post it on DA, and it's like, oh wow, this is actually super short. What the hell? What the hell? Why is it so short?
I don't know which one is lying to me. Is it the Word document or DeviantArt?
Must be a lot of text if it took for, okay, it's 9 pages worth of writing according to my ABI Word. How many words are there? It's 5,665 words. Could have sworn it was longer than that. So I guess every writing program thinks of it differently.
Maybe.
Oh. Well, every Word program says it's a different amount. Like when I use the online wordcounttools.com. Let's see how many words it says it is on wordcounttools.com. And it says
I know some programs read based on even spaces, so not like.
Oh no, oddly enough, it says it's the exact same length on that program.
Okay then.
Usually it's like a 15-word difference. But they all count things differently.
Dramatic reading.
You want me to do a dramatic reading of it?
You can.
You can always pick something else. I'm just not reading smut. I won't be able to keep it. I'll make an idiot of myself reading that. They're reading foreign to everybody.
You would laugh.
I'd laugh, I'd get all blushy because I can't read that stuff out loud. I can write it and not bat an eyelash, but when I'm reading it out loud, I have to. Oh my god, what did I do?
Oh no.
Yes, I'm an idiot. Let's see.
It just makes you aware of your own work.
Got my little poems everywhere.
Oh, you
stuff. I just realized this entire time I could have been coloring in my dragons because I finally figured out how to work my paint tool without making the lines all blurry.
Yeah.
All I had to do was turn off analytics
Oh.
to make it look more like a regular paint program than just this blurry outline. I did that out when I was making Xander's face outline.
Mm-hmm.
Because I randomly went and clicked this funny little thing, and then I realized, oh my god, the lines are solid. Why haven't I been doing this the entire time? I'm a moron. And I've had this paint program for over a year and a half, and I just figured that out.
It's okay, I'm still learning things about SAI.
I know, but Sai updates a lot.
It doesn't, actually. Not really. I think GIMP updates more than SAI.
Probably, but I don't really use GIMP all that much. I thought I could do the rotate thing where I could use Paint.net, the program I'm using, because it has a line tool and GIMP doesn't. But the things wouldn't load correctly. It would be like trying to completely recolor it in with just a paintbrush because the paint filler won't work. I don't know what the hell is going on with it, but different paint programs don't like to cooperate with each other. We know that much. What's weird?
Weirdly enough, I found out that Mediabang, the one that I use, actually likes Photoshop programs and pictures. Found that one out recently.
What am I gonna do? My toe hurts. I have an ingrown toenail or something.
Oh no.
I scratched. A bug must have bit me or something, but it bit me hard because my leg just looks like it has a big old rash on it. Because mosquito bites will do that to me. And I scratched it so hard the other day that I scraped off all the skin around it.
Maybe don't do that.
I can't help it if it itches.
I know.
Should have seen how my legs looked when I had eczema. I had eczema in 5th grade and the entire back of my leg was just one ugly scab.
How? How does it even get that?
Yeah. I wouldn't stop itching. It's like a thing that runs in my family. We get an itch or we get a sore spot and we can't stop clawing at it or picking at it. And then we make it so much worse. Discuss random shit. Let's discuss random bullshit.
Yes. Oh, did you see my dragon icon I shared in the group?
Yeah, I saw you posted that. I commented, is that a dragon?
Yes. It is indeed.
Is it not a dragon?
It is indeed a dragon.
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 I like dragon.
Dragons are nice. Dragons are cool. She's actually, she's a furry character I actually named based off of this one game. A friend shared.
Hold on a minute. My grandmother's at the door.
Okay. Squeak. Oh, that was suddenly very loud.
Sorry.
Clean.
Really good.
So,
Yes.
Which thing did you feel like reading?
I have no idea yet.
You could read Scarecrow's story. You have Leon's story somewhere, don't you?
Have what story?
Leon's.
Oh no, that's like a really old draft of it that no longer applies to his character. I don't know why I'm such a lazy little shit. I can sit down and write everybody else's character stories, but I can't write mine. Then again, he still is very much in development.
True.
Recent decision of Nagin. So I still need to find a way to introduce to the actual world because I've not introduced him to anyone aside from a few people on Skype.
He's an interesting character, though. The only issue that comes with him joining in is now you also have to now think about him and how he is. And there with a whole different character.
Yeah, he's all over the place, just this random little bullshit. I love him. He's my man slut and I love him. That's one thing will get me. You see the female characters that are being drawn with all the guys and they get called sluts, but you draw a guy with all the girls and nothing about it.
I've never understood that.
It's slut-shaming bullcrap, part of why the whole idea of what went down with Yinko pisses me off so much.
Well, I mean, it's the whole issue between why calling Sue or Stu is such a dumb thing. Not even just because they're not really words in and of themselves that are descriptive, but just that people are more reluctant to say a character is a Gary Stu in quotations than a Mary Sue.
People are dumbasses.
It's true.
Like, and they'll be entitled, they'll base the whole of it. Oh my god, she's had so much artwork done of her sleeping with other dudes. She has to be some kind of a slutty little Mary Sue. Oh my god, she's got big breasts. What a Sue.
Oh my god, she's
what the fuck? How does her breast size determine whether or not she's a shitty character? Tsunade had huge breasts and she was epic. Who the hell cares about the breast size of your character?
You know, that was something I actually took to making note of. You know those three characters, Grace, Iris, and Rachel?
Yeah.
You and I intentionally made to piss people off. Not once have they been called Sues or Stews. At most, I think I had Rena say that Grace seemed like a proxy wannabe, but that was just because her design was too flat.
Well, we have to take into account that technically Maxie and Hoodie in themselves aren't proxies at all. If you go by the Marvel thing, they're not technically creepypastas at all, but they do have their own creepypasta verse where they work for Slenderman.
This is true. This is true.
And my entire idea there is that he picks them, somehow incorporates them based on what he wants, gives them some sort of a mask, and has them make a bit of a name for themselves. Grace's entire thing is she's his little frickin' guard dog. She has to roam his playground, assaulting people as they get more and more pages so that they can't win the game.
Not that she's against that.
Oh well. A hell of a lot more creative than the other proxies I've seen.
Well, that, and on top of that, Grace's entire thing with her looks is she's not supposed to look like a girl. You're not supposed to know Grace is a chick.
Yeah, you're not.
For all you know, she could be a
that's the entire point. You don't want to know their identity. And what a better way to get past them and what your identity is if they're convinced you're a dude. I mean, if you look at Masky the right way, you think he's a chick, especially with that mask.
True. Didn't we establish this in a roleplay when Iris legit thought Masky was a girl?
When I first started seeing pictures of Masky, I thought he was a girl because of that overly feminine mask. But like,
but it's just
I confirmed. I have a manager at work with the same name, Rachelle.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it's not pronounced Rachel; it's pronounced Rochelle.
I feel like it depends on the location the name origin comes from, because I feel like you can get the same spelling, but every place would say it different.
Like, but I've never seen Rachel spelled before. There might be a difference depending on the number of L's and the fact that there's a B.
Oh, I know there are a number of ways to spell Rachel. The one that I'm used to is Rachel. That's Rachel.
Yeah, because the only reason I know that there's a pronunciation of Rochelle is because a manager at work who I get along with very well because she's a huge dork, that's how her name is pronounced. And it's because we have Rachel that I know how to spell her name. Apparently everybody misspells her name.
Really?
Yeah, so that must be there's some kind of a difference in the spelling there.
I wonder if it's different.
And again, I do have a number of
or what? I have to wonder.
Wonder what?
Just what causes the struggle to spell that name?
I have no. It's people are weird. People are weird. Why the hell would the Chinese pick those squiggles?
Who knows?
It's a location type thing because my handwriting says a word in one language is going to work a hell of a lot different than a word spelled in the other language.
True.
I mean, we could probably invent an entirely new language focused on squares, circles, and triangles if we wanted to.
This is true. Isn't that pretty much what runes are?
Yeah. All a bunch of weird stuff. Like, I've seen 3 ways to spell Sarah. S-A-R-A, S-A-R-A-H, and C-E-R-A. I've only seen the C-E-R-A in like 4 times. So it just goes to show how creative we are with our pronunciation and spelling.
We're creative. Hush.
Humans are a very creative breed, and we're all a bunch of freaking idiots.
This is true.
We're all morons. But we're all morons in different ways, so that's okay.
I'm gonna agree there. Everything. I won't let you. I won't let me color you. Fine, I'll do that.
There's definitely some kind of a gender-based thing about OCs and all that stuff. So people are more likely to bash on you for having a girl OC with a specific body trait than if you have a guy OC with a specific body trait.
Exactly.
Leon has a 9.5-inch dick when it's fully erect, and I have yet to have one person tell me that that is a bad trait for him to have. Not one. The closest I've gotten is, damn, that's big. How does he fit that in his pants?
I mean, that is a pretty legit question.
It is a very legit question, and I just say, he forces it. But it's not that big. You know they're not big when they're erect, when they're limp or anything.
No, and plus, he's a snake person.
The dongers are much softer and much more shrunk in against the body. It's not like he's got one of those kibasi sausages in his pants and he has to slide it down a pants leg.
That would be funny, though.
It would be very funny, but I can guarantee you that that's kind of what would happen if he was getting horny and he was wearing tight pants. Because it's got to go somewhere.
I guess Jacko
This is
says,
a situation. I literally gave him a ween that big just because I felt like it.
and you know what's funny about that though?
I had to give him an extra large donger just because he's not that much of a dick in personality. Had to make up for it.
Yeah.
I was actually having a very amusing thought while I was at work today where somebody walked into Leon's house and they saw he had the trophy for the world's biggest dick. And they kind of went to him, you know, they can't count your personality. And then he just kind of showed them to prove them otherwise. Oh dear. I gotta go save my shoes. The puppy's eating them.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
The new shoes were supposed to come in today, but I guess they didn't.
Hmm. He's the pupper shop.
Okay, with a false alarm there, the puppy doesn't attack my shoes, he attacks my socks. Because I've seen it multiple times, I have smelling feet.
The socks taste good to the pupper shop.
Came home the other day and I took my shoes off, and he just started to immediately rub up against the socks that were on my feet. And then he shoved his entire face into my shoe and just inhaled. He really likes something that's going on in there.
I mean, apparently the smell of sock is very good for him.
Smells like something senseless. Imagine if I had a freaking hedgehog or something that would start licking my shoe to try and paint its quills with the smell.
That would be a thing. That would
It
be
would
an
happen
interesting
if
thing.
they do that. But yeah, I gave Leon a 9.5-inch ween. And then I recently decided that Jack's little twin ding-dongs are 9 inches and 8.25 inches.
Fair enough.
The lower one's the smaller one.
That's
They're
also
not
good.
side by side, they're one above the other.
Well, because snake.
The snake.
Because
Not lizard,
snake. Snack.
snake.
Snacks.
Precious noodles.
Precious.
Precious little slither slongers.
Oh.
Did that amuse
What
you
shows with
somehow
you?
because I'm an idiot? Did that amuse you?
It did, but so did something my friend sent me.
Is it that
Which I
Italian thing you just put in the...
Yeah.
I don't
You
want
must
to
laugh
log
too.
in there. I don't want to log in to see that picture, Pinterest. I don't give a crap.
You shouldn't have to log in.
Yeah, Italy's a dork. I think Italia was the first like little cartoon type thing that I could not watch in English. Just because all the voices and the fake accents made me laugh too hard. I couldn't take it seriously.
With 20 bottle rockets.
The first season, whatever. I just couldn't stop laughing at it. I had to start watching it in Japanese.
I mean, that's fair. I actually watched Italia in English just
I couldn't
because
make it through the first episode.
I do suck. I do. Sorry, my friend is in the background and just
watching us be idiots. Hello, friend.
Sarah says hello.
I need to change my...
She hid under the blanket.
I shouldn't have Yinko's little fox as my icon anymore. Kind of pointless for me to have it there.
Wasn't that Yinko's kitsune form?
Yeah, it's the Firefox spirit that is part of Yinko.
Yeah.
At one point I was working on the Ice Fox. It was supposed to be for her brother.
Mm-hmm. Kasai, right?
Yeah, Kasai. Yeah. Kasai and Aiko.
Yeah.
And I wound up losing the pictures that I had almost completely finished.
Oh.
But now I don't really need to do it, do I?
Not unless you want to.
Well, not really.
I mean, considering her reaction to the last one, I wouldn't think you would.
She wasn't too thrilled about that picture. She wasn't too thrilled about the idea of me trying to give Yoko an origin story. Even though she'd been wanting me to tell. But
I'm kind of surprised she left it as tame as she did, though. I mean,
I think she just gave up. As far as I could see, Ian just gave up because everybody was being too much of an asshole. And that's the entire opposite of what you're supposed to do when you're critiquing someone's character. Because the critique is not supposed to make someone feel so shitty about the character that they don't want to use them anymore.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
A critique is supposed to make them realize, this probably needs some improvement and I'll work on that.
Well, but then
it's very difficult to do that if everybody's calling you a bitch and a slut and a whore or an ass or all those other things.
And then I don't
understand. Really why the reviewers that were around at that point pissed me off so much.
Oh yeah, the critiquers. I put this in air quotes that you can't see. I'm sorry.
No, I don't care because I caught it in your tone of voice. They weren't giving critiques, they were bashing a character that they didn't like.
And that's all they ever did, and yet people still praise them.
And it's not a critique to do that, though.
No, it's not.
It's not seeing 5 or 6 different pictures of a character, not doing any kind of research, and then saying, oh, this, and this is wrong just because I say so, because I absolutely know everything based off of 5 pictures.
There are 2 things I think that they mainly forgot. One is, if you need information, you have to ask the person for it. If you can't find the information, you cannot critique the character because you don't have all of the background. You also don't know if this character is serious, if it's for fun, if it's for vent. You have no clue why it's there.
And that's what they were doing. They were taking a lot of pictures of Yinko, most of which were done for fun, and defining those as her entire character.
Yeah, and that onto that.
We'll still do that now. That comment that person was giving you today was saying, oh, well, Yinko was being drawn in all these slutty positions with all these characters, so therefore.
Oh, I read that.
I'm like, that's not what's fucking going on.
That's
not what's going on. That was the creator having fun. She actually didn't really like the idea of Yinko being shipped with anybody but Jeff. But no, they don't know that because they never stopped to frickin' ask.
And so that whole situation is still so confusing. And not that I don't know which side kind of confusing. The how are people so stupid?
And we gotta remember that entire thing, that first video that was done wasn't because they wanted to review Yinko. It was because they wanted to be bitches over Mian refusing to take down a picture of Toby hugging Yinko. Because they assumed it was a shit picture. They assumed it was a shit picture when it wasn't, and then threw a hissy fit when she wouldn't take it down.
Because the creator had said he would prefer people not to ship with him. And then, because of that drama, that same creator abandoned the creepypasta fandom, abandoned Tiki Toby, and called them out for their bullshit.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I brought it up. We actually talked very privately, Castaway and I. And I brought this up to him, and I know he went and talked to them and asked them to remove that video because he believed that that was highly uncalled for what they did. And he felt so bad about Neon getting harassed and about everyone else getting harassed for it just because he had said, hey, please don't
I would prefer
movie with all these other characters. It makes me a bit uncomfortable.
I mean, on one level, I feel bad for the guy. On another level, you can't really say don't ship with this character. It's not gonna go well.
It's a bit of a two-way street because, as weird as it sounds, Rule 34 is a major thing on the internet. If you can find porn of the frickin' peanut guy from the Planters, whatever, that peanut with the monocle and the suit, if you find porn of him, there's gonna be porn of everything.
Well, and then there's, add on to that, if you have a fandom, people are going to ship with some characters.
They might not think because it's a fun thing and allows people to be creative and all that stuff. So to a point, he wasn't being very right to say that, but at the same time, he does have the right to say, hey, it makes me uncomfortable. So the fandom could have been a little more polite and maybe done it in a way so that every time something was posted relating to the ships he didn't like to see, he wouldn't have to see it.
Or, you know, there are just 101 ways that could have been handled that it wasn't, and is largely why it turned out the way it was, and that's not all on him. God knows, I don't think he saw that.
He never asked any of the people to overreact the way they did. And I think it's so stupid when people confirm that there's some kind of a real ship and that makes everything else fake. They have to go around and say, you shouldn't really be shipping your character with so-and-so's character because they have a real ship already, so yeah, fine.
Yeah.
That actually happened on Ask Us Jack's blog for a little while because she was drawing pictures of Sweet Tart with Frankie. And what happened was somebody went and talked to Snuff and they asked if they could ship their character with Frankie. He said go for it, and they assumed, oh my god, Snuff Bomb just said that I can have a canon ship with his character.
Yeah, no.
All you bitches better stop.
That was, Tally, that's it. Yeah, thank you. Tally was the one who had that. Except for the thing about what happened with Tally wasn't even the one who was getting on to people about it.
It was what happened, though. I don't even know why they do that.
I don't know.
That has to
I think what had happened was she told one of her friends about the ship, and her friend was the one who kept going around.
Yeah, but it caused a whole bunch of drama. As far as I know, and I wasn't there to see it, so I might be wrong, but as far as I know, Snuff or someone wound up laying into Tally about it.
Snuff did. I remember I was talking to Tally at the time still.
But I heard he got pretty harsh about it or something.
Oh yeah. Him and I think Antique both got into her about it. And it got so bad that apparently she had actually legitimately wanted to drop the ship, and she felt so terrible about it. I think he almost straight up banned her from shipping with him just because
of what happened.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want a repeat of what happened with Castaway.
Yeah. But then I think what ended up happening was I think he realized he was a little too harsh on her. And basically, I think he let her ship and just realized that if it's canon, it's only canon for her character.
Yeah. But like I've known from the start that he never wanted to have any kind of a legitimate ship with Laughing Jack. So of course he wouldn't spontaneously out of the blue or anything say, oh yeah, we can have a legitimate ship with my character and your character. Yeah, cool. He's just kind of, yeah, go ahead and have my character fuck whoever you want.
Do your thing. Whatever. Peasant, go do your thing.
That's another fun aspect is that Laughing Jack doesn't have any kind of internal anatomy. Doesn't have a dong. So I don't know how that would work. Everybody, of course, describes him with one, but he doesn't.
Do you have anything else you want me to do? And yeah,
crazy random stuff, and it was not fun for me when everything finally came to a screeching halt when it did. And of course, certain people aren't going to take any sort of the blame for what wound up happening the way it did.
And you know, people are still flipping out about it. That's the other crazy thing. People are still acting like it's news.
Yeah, I know that a good chunk of why Mion doesn't really use much of Yinko anymore at all is because so many people still come to her.
I don't think she hardly draws, or if she even does draw, she doesn't post anything anymore.
But can you blame her after everything? People still showing up, being a bit of a bitch, calling her characters trash and all that stuff without even trying to give her the chance to do anything. She can't get 5 words into trying to change anything without someone showing up like, your character's a Sue. She's stupid.
Yeah. I colored worse. I remember the one with Gone where I had to have 3 different versions just because. Yeah, it was.
It's hard though. I still don't know what to do with them. Just don't make me laugh.
You still have to post them, I think. Sorry, I'm talking to my friend about this art thing that I'm doing. I'm helping. She did line art. I'm doing the color. We are all colors. Anyway, that whole thing, I mean, you can't blame her, but at the same time, you would have thought she would have dropped the people who started all of that.
You'd think so, and that was part of what made me be a little so cross with her, specifically towards the end of our relationship. And it was because all of these people who had been harassing her, putting her in so much stress, putting me under so much stress, and I was in such a terrible state because I couldn't really eat or digest anything. And then suddenly she turned around and she's being buddy-buddy with all these people. And she's trying to do changes that I can tell are not changes that she would have made unless they had been cramming them down her throat.
And you know the thing about it?
I remember there was one big argument I had with her where she'd come to me saying that she thought she was going to change Yinko's hair color to black.
Yeah.
And I immediately rejected that entire concept because to me that was not her trying to improve Yinko as a character. That was her giving in to all of the assholes saying that because Yinko's a kitsune and therefore Japanese, she has to have black hair.
Kitsune doesn't mean Japanese. Kitsune is the Japanese legend of it. And just because she's not Japanese, that doesn't mean she's not a kitsune.
It was like the entire thing is that one story I was doing, she was going to be confirmed as at least half Japanese. She was born in America, but she was half Japanese. She was a Japanese American.
And that doesn't mean she has to look like a. That's not
blonde hair happens. There's absolutely no issue with it. She, at one point, she originally had brown hair. Before the whole Kitsune issue took over, she had brown hair. Which, as far as I know, is another possibility in the Asian community. You just don't find blondes or redheads. But you also got to take into account that according to a lot of legends, the more popular the kitsune, the more vibrant its fur is going to be. They'll turn gold or they'll turn white.
True.
So it's a kind of a get the hell off my back. It's the fox spirit that is so far influencing her body. And that's why her hair is gold, because it's a powerful fox spirit. Spirits are gold or white.
And you know, that doesn't mean they are. I will never get over that.
And it's not who the hell gives a crap. You can't get after her for a character that isn't black-haired if you can see so many fox characters in shows from Japan that don't have black hair.
It's like, literally, they went at her because it's like, oh, Asian people all have black hair, so you have to have black hair. And it was a moment of, I hope you realize how racist you sound, people.
It was racist, slut-shaming, character bashing. the entire situation.
And then I didn't even care. They didn't even care. They don't care. They still don't.
No, they're
And some
still
people
in
are
a mindset of, because I think it needs to be this way, this is how it has to be.
That whole situation is still so infuriating on this level.
It was honestly to a point. I think that if all that hadn't gone down, then me and I would not have had a breakup as dramatic or as one-sided as the one that we had.
No. I also don't
Because
think that if I don't think Neon would have ever tried to act like you were abusive either. In any way.
she'd been a little jealous when I started talking to Weege.
She'd been a little jealous, but I think they egged her on.
They probably did, because from my perspective, they're all a bunch of psychos.
Well,
But,
yeah. Well, I went to school with one. I can confirm they're all a bunch.
yeah, we can confirm at least one of them is, without a doubt, but that might be a bit brutal on my part, but I don't care. They cause a lot of drama, and I can be a bit of a bitch if I feel like it.
If they're all the same person, and they more or less are, then they're a bunch of psychos. There's a handful of them that aren't, who are genuinely nice people, just caught in the wrong crowd.
But I wound up being very bitter about a lot of things after that breakup, because first off, it was not a mutual breakup. She decided we were done, did not tell me about it, but told a variety of other people ahead of time. I didn't find out until after I went on Skype and realized that I wasn't on her contacts anymore, and then I started looking around and realized, oh my god, she's stated elsewhere that we're not dating anymore. Weej apparently found out before I did. And I just kind of went, what the hell? What the hell? I've been trying to be there for you and trying to help you through all of this shit, and this is how you decide we need to break up.
And then on top of that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was also in the same time period that you were in the women's shelter, so you couldn't even...
No, I didn't go into the women's shelter until a while after that, but it was pretty damn close. But
okay.
she doesn't even... She's
too close.
As far as I know, she's been blaming other people for why she broke up with me.
Oh, yeah.
As far as I know, she was blaming Weej for it, too.
Yeah, I know. And Weej won't talk to any of your girlfriends now because of it. She actually legitimately stopped talking to me because apparently talking to someone who you're dating with scares her now. Or not scares her, but
because of how Neon was.
Because of how Neon was. I'm like, I don't blame her at all. I actually feel terrible that that's the case. Because Weej as a person is a very
Hold on, Nina. Of course, my grandmother can't leave me alone for more than half an hour before the time she needs something.
That's okay. We can pick up when you get back. Damn it, China, why do your lines have to be so funky? Some of the lines aren't connected enough, and so I have to do wonky things. So that's
A punishment for being gay.
what? For them or for me being gay?
I don't know.
Subtext. Yep.
I don't think there's much in the subtext area. Pretty sure it's just
Yeah.
gay.
Yeah, it's just gay at this point. That's true. For this piece, at least. 3 pieces. Technically. Damn it. Color. Color.
He's crying because he saw you report him.
What? Why is he crying? What did he see you find now? Do you have the guts to say that to my face? I'm not deaf. I have headset. What's happening?
Back again.
Oh, okay. Welcome back.
It was all such a bunch of dramatic stuff, and really, I can't blame Weejay for being so anxious about meeting anyone that I wind up dating because Neon left such a bad taste in her mouth.
Yeah, I can't blame Weejay. Also,
And to a point, I kind of feel like she might blame herself a little bit for the fact that the breakup went the way it did, because Neon has openly stated to at least her that she was part of the reason for the breakup.
I believe we have another person in the group.
Really? Is there a new person?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
You guys go ahead and finish saying what you were saying.
No, you're just talking about random crap. Talking about some things from a while ago when all those ranters were kind of.
Drama.
Ah.
Just a very dramatic point in life for a number of us.
Oh yeah, because everything had to come and hit at the same time. Very dramatic.
There's another thing I have to go and re-edit the Yinko origin that I wound up doing because when I wrote it on the tablet, so many typos went left unnoticed because of it doing it stupid autocorrect every time I press space.
Ow.
You okay?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a headache.
That's not fun.
And my legs are sore. I was only at work for a little over 6 hours today, and my legs still hurt. So I don't know if that's from yesterday or not.
Ooh. Maybe a combination?
Possibly. I mean, I was kind of dancing and bouncing around a bit in back booth because I wound up with a lot of energy. Which is either the coffee or just because I'm about to have some other relax. It does happen. It happens in cycles every now and again. I'll get a sudden burst of energy for a day, and then sometime following that, I just wind up really, really, really sad.
That's not good.
No, I guess it's my depression cycle. I go from mellow to just kind of quiet to suddenly, oh, I'm very hyper and I'm very excited and I'm very much in a good mood and wanting to socialize, and then suddenly, oh my god, where did all the energy go? Why do I feel so shitty?
Also, hello, Hinta. I haven't talked to you in a while.
Excuse me 1 second.
Hmm.
I'll be right back. Ow, ow. Oh, I nearly tripped.
Oh,
Oh.
does not sound like good sound effects.
No.
Hmm. I should probably point this out before I start coloring this, bro. Did you forget a tiny part of his hair?
Y'all are being silly over there. Stab myself with my name tag.
Don't gag yourself there. But
I actually have
Ryan,
to be very careful about how I put it in my pocket now. Because I keep it in my pants pocket so I won't lose it. And if I don't put it in the right way, it'll pop open and I won't be able to get it out of my pants, or it'll stab me in the leg when I attempt to do so.
How?
That's fun. That's fun.
Actually, speaking of all that hell that went down, I don't think I've spoken to Hinta since all of that hell.
We haven't done a lot of talking.
The entire group just kind of shattered after that, I think.
Yeah.
Along with a few other things. But
not long. I think that would be the shortest one, maybe.
Which one?
With me and Pinta and...
Yeah.
It's like, I guess I've noticed that based off of my reactions to the breakups that I've had, that the one with Neon was the most emotionally stressing, the most dramatic, and then the one with Weejay, the last one was just so quiet in comparison.
I mean, in a way, I'm sure that felt nice. I mean, granted, breakups aren't nice, but probably was nice about it was tame.
Yeah.
And, two people were able to be mature about it. I know. My friend in the background just added on the background. What's that? In reference to maturity. People being mature.
I actually told Weege the other day that apparently Neon had somehow found out that she and I were dating and threw a bit of a fit behind closed doors.
Oh,
I think we found that very amusing.
Probably.
Like, that's her salt showing. It's her salt showing. She's got such a grudge. She has more of a grudge against Neon than I do. But I think at the same time, that's because she didn't generally like the way that Neon treated me.
Ow. I'm back.
You okay?
Don't break your leg.
Yep, I'm okay.
That would be bad.
Don't break your leg.
Had to be careful walking in my room since my light doesn't work.
Oh my god, get a new light.
The thing is, I just gotta find the light bulbs. They keep losing them.
You'll find them eventually.
They'll crop up, or they won't.
No, they're gonna pop up after she goes and buys a new one, because that's how it always works. You get fed up with looking for them, and then you get a replacement, and then you're like, oh my god, this is where they were. Now I wasted a bunch of money.
Yep, that's exactly how it happens.
It's like how you don't find the missing buttons to a shirt or a sweater until after you've thrown that shirt or sweater away. Because you couldn't find the buttons.
No. Tired?
Honestly, I think relaxing in bed is what makes me feel tired because I should not be tired. I slept in today because they didn't have me starting early as hell.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask a question, but I forgot what I was gonna ask.
It'll come back to you probably right after I close the stream.
Eventually, that's usually how things go.
Yeah. I'm off tomorrow and Thursday. I work from 6:30 to 1 on Friday, 7 to 4 on Saturday, and Sunday from 6 to 2. I don't have any more 10-hour days, but Saturday will be another 9-hour day.
That sounds nice.
I generally don't like it because I don't get to sit down.
Well, I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot of hours. If I ask a manager and I'm in back booth and I tell her, hey, my legs are really starting to bother me, can I sit down so you can get me a stool and let me sit there?
Well, at least she's understanding.
Yeah,
But
they get that I'm hurting because there's been days. There was one day where we were so understaffed that I was running the entire drive-thru. I was putting together the orders at one point. I was making the food. I was taking the orders and I was setting them out the window. And that went on for a good 3-4 hours. And by the time I was done with that, because I'd been running around so much, the physical and the emotional exhaustion from all of that hit me all at once, and I just wound up crying.
that's not a good thing.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it
yeah,
happened.
that's not good.
It didn't actually happen until they put me in back booth, because in back booth you're kind of all by yourself. So as they walked me back there, I think it all just took the chance to sneak up on me in the moment of calm. And then because I was kind of keeping it under control, I would wipe my eyes and blow my nose because it wasn't a full-on sob until after I talked to someone about it. Because when they asked me what was wrong and I finally told them, I just burst into tears. And they were going to let me go home about 45 minutes early, but I said no, I wanted to finish my shift. And then I wound up being held up an extra half hour because they forgot I was back there.
I don't know where his legs are. I need you to help me.
So like now, if I'm back here, they'll actually put me back there if I request to be put in back booth for a couple of hours so that I can try to sit because my legs hurt. They'll put me back there.
Oh yeah, I just remembered my question.
Yeah?
And also quickly learning.
Well, it's sort of an OC sort of question. Okay.
That's
why?
his leg. This is just supposed to be a ledge he's laying on. And I kind of.
Go ahead.
Okay. Why does Leon hate Scarecrow?
It was a territory thing back when Mian and I were actually talking about it. They had some kind of a territory dispute where Leon wound up killing someone on Scarecrow's territory. And then some stuff started happening. Jack wound up getting killed. And then Leon kind of attacked them. And even though they kicked his ass a little bit, because of obvious reasons, he's got a swarm of birds and Leon can only take on so many, they kind of realized that they made a long time enemy because Leon, even though you can kill him, he'll keep coming back. So he's kind of gotten into the state where he's just an asshole to Scarecrow all the time.
I mean, I've been wondering that for a while because I read that one fanfic about where there was a flooding going on at Scarecrow's farm and he needed a place to stay.
Yeah, that was something that I was going to be doing.
And then I noticed the tension, the hostility that Leon had towards him, and I was like, why does he hate him so much?
Very out of character for him to a point because he's usually the type, hey, if you need a place to stay, you can come in and lay down. But He and Scarecrow do not get along at all.
Well, I mean, if I had that blood with someone like that, I'd probably say, "Get out of my house. I don't want you here."
So it
But
kind
then
of does
again,
show he's a pretty decent person about situations when it comes to it, because he could have told Scarecrow to fuck off.
I mean,
But
add on to
then
that,
again-
I don't think. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Add on to that, I don't think Leon's intimidated by any situation like that, because more or less he can shrug and go, well, it's not like I'm gonna die, so.
Yeah, he gets cocky. Like, some of the ways Leon has died is legitimately he walks on the road at night, and because of his passive powers, people can't really see him unless he wants them to, especially when it's dark. So he gets run over. He's been run over by the big old semi-trucks before.
That must suck.
But that shouldn't be as funny as
I know
it
it
is.
doesn't kill him automatically either. I think the most gruesome one I came up with was it clocked him, meaning at the very corner, smacked him, and then it knocked him into the road, and it like broke his leg and popped out his eyeball, and he was going to die from the wound, so Jack had to kill him because he was in a lot of pain.
Ow.
Yeah.
In some cases, I wish he was like Toby. He didn't feel pain.
No, I want him to feel the pain. I want him to suffer.
Isn't it part of the suffering anyway?
He's very good at ignoring the pain to a point, though. I think the only reason he was in as much pain as he was because if it did enough damage to his face to pop out an eye, it probably broke his nose, and that would be where most of the pain was coming from.
True, he
Because
does have that sensitive nose.
You can make Leon do whatever the hell you want if you popped him in the nose.
Invincible Snake Man's one weakness, nose.
Yeah, hitting him in the nose is the quickest way to get him to back off. Because it hurts.
Not that I imagine.
Meanwhile, if you fuck up and hit him in the neck or at a certain spot on his abdomen, he flips his shit because of the flashbacks of what happened to him the first time he died.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him go feral. But you're 50-50 with that. Sometimes he has a panic attack and will get away from you, and other times he goes into an absolute state of bloodlust and just rips you apart.
Until there's pretty much nothing left but a bloody mess.
Basically, because he keeps yanking flesh and bone apart until he can't really find anything else strong enough to pull. So he'd literally rip apart every single bone in your body. Rip it out of your body.
Has he ever freaked out Jack because of that?
Honestly, because of the situation of Jack is near him when he gets into that state, it puts Jack in that state too.
Domino effect.
Jack doesn't get scared of him. He gets into a very aggressive state of mind and won't stop attacking. To the point where he's actually attacked Leon. And it all revolved around the emotions that were felt the first time they died. Jack's major thing was he got into a very aggressive state at that time when he died because he was trying to protect Leon and Sally. He was terrified for them and angry at the people that were hurting them, and he wound up dying in that state of mind in a lot of pain. So when he's triggered, he becomes extremely violent because that is how he had been behaving when he died, was extremely violent. Leon, it's a 50-50 with him because he was having such a mixture of emotions. He was terrified for himself, terrified for Sally, overrun with grief over his snake who he was watching slowly die of what has been done to him. And at the same time, he was just so angry and distraught And at time, fear turns into hatred and anger as time progresses. So that's why when you fuck up and trigger him, it's a 50-50 that he's going to run away because he feels the need to escape the pain, or that he's going to come after you because he's not going to let you hurt him anymore.
At the same time, though, I do have to wonder, he has managed this in
It
himself.
took him a long time, though. I haven't done a lot of discussions on it lately. Leon, for the first few years when he was first revived as what he is, he was going through a very slow transformation. He wasn't automatically Snake Man Jack. There were changes that were being done to his body that were very gradual. He wasn't revived really with the snake tongue. He had the eyes but didn't really pay it any mind because he never really looked in the mirror. But the first time he realized that he had a serpentine tongue, he flipped out and ripped it out of his mouth. It was very self-destructive, very hard to keep calm, very much a feral predator because any kind of a rodent that he saw move, he killed it. Didn't always eat it, but he killed it. And it took him around 20 years to get out of that state as it was. And then after that, it was just a very slow development into figuring out where he was going to stay, figuring out how he was going to keep himself steady, how he was going to get by as what he was, and all that stuff.
I'm assuming you did a lot of study into PTSD to figure out that mindset.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to it, because PTSD does a lot of things too.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's also because of the mixture of animal and human mindsets. He's not human, he's half snake. He still looks mostly human, but he's half snake. But if he were to get trapped in a feral state for a long enough time, he would start to look exactly like what Jack takes the form of, and he would probably gain the ability to transform into a snake or something similar. It's sort of the more of a monster it's sort of the more monstrous he behaves, the more of a monster he becomes.
That works.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that gives me another question. What do you think? OCs with animal traits, do you think they can be vicious?
Oh, I think they can be very vicious, especially depending on the animal. Because if you hybrids especially in animals are prone to having a lot of temperament issues. I'm going to use the wolf dogs as an example, because wolves are not domesticated. You cannot domesticate a wolf, but dogs are. So when you mix a wolf and a dog, you get this semi-domestic animal that you'll think is completely tame, but then you'll overstep some kind of a boundary that you didn't realize was there, and they will turn around and mess you up for it. There are people, they've had wolf dogs, and for 10, however many years they've had them, they were completely docile, and then something happened, and there was a shift, and that wild nature stepped forward, and they mauled their owners. And it was not, and I'm mad at you, and I'm going to kill you because you did that situation.
I mean, the reason I bring that up is because giving Roger crap because I gave him the wolf animal trait, and people were saying he can't be scary because he's part animal.
Yes, he can.
Oh jeez, it's like the whole situation with Yinko all over again.
Yeah, it kind of is when you mix, but Yinko's a different story. Yinko is not part fox. Yinko has what was essentially a deity type fox spirit in her.
But it's still the visual. I think it's the visuals that make people.
piss people. Yeah, they see the pictures and decide, oh my god, that can't be scary. But then, why the hell are people so into Naruto? Why the hell are people so into this, this, and this if you don't think they can be scary? Naruto was a pretty violent show.
True.
So was Dragon Ball Z, and they were part freaking monkey.
Look at shows like Inuyasha.
Inuyasha was terrifying, especially when he started to go full demon.
Yeah.
It's sort of a situation where if you're watching it on the screen, you don't think it's that scary. But if you were to see that in real life, you'd be fucking terrified.
You would be scarred for life.
You would. It was kind of relates to that argument that I was putting on where you can't dismiss a creepypasta character as whether or not they can be scary based off of how they look. Because half of these ones, you see them and you'd see what they look like and you'd be like, oh, I think you need to go to the doctor. Jeff especially, the same with Sally. Not my Sally, but the other one.
Yeah.
That's got the freaking
And what
bleeding
about-
head wound, and you'd see Sally walking around in the middle of the street and you'd think, oh my god, that child must have been in a car accident. Call 911. You'd
And
see Jeff
what-
walking around and you'd think pretty similar because he does not look right.
I mean, characters like Sally and Samuel, I mean, both of them, they don't look scary.
No,
Both-
Sally just looks like she needs to go to the doctor ASAP. And then Samuel, he just kind of looks tired.
He just looks
Maybe
like
a
a
little
lost
sick.
child.
He looks sick. You'd think that he was left alone for about a week. And that he just needed a good meal and a phone call to make.
Or you think something like maybe he's just. You think he's just sick from the way he looks.
He ran away from home. He ran away from home, maybe. He kind of fits that description. If he were dirty, that would really sell it. But it's sort of the character does not have to look like this horrifying, grotesque monster to qualify as a creepypasta character. Because they don't need to look scary. What they can do has to be terrifying. Yinko could create fire, she could light your ass on fire, and she would sit there and laugh at you as you burn to ash. And that was a terrifying aspect of her. Because I can't think of a quick death that's more painful than fire.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to die by fire.
It's like that's one of the things where you ask people, would you rather freeze to death or burn to death? Or would you rather burn to death or drown? Most of the time they'll probably pick drowning because that's going to be a virtually painless way to die. In comparison to being burned alive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'd rather drown than burn.
Because I definitely pick drowning over being burned. Because with drowning, yeah, it might hurt as you're holding your breath. It might hurt when the water first gets in your lungs, but you just lose consciousness.
And then you
With
keep drowning.
fire, it's not that way. Not that way with freezing to death either. Freezing to death, it's a very slow
Freezing is such-
process.
The thing about
Sorry, what?
freezing, though, the way that it's explained that I've heard about is it's similar to burning in a different way. Because while you are frigid at first, you then burn like you are actually on fire. Then you go
What
numb, and
happens
then
is
you burn
pain
again.
pain comes from all the blood in your limbs and everything moving to the core of your body into your head to
Mhm.
try and keep your internal organs from getting too cold. And that pain that you feel is your fingers, is all the ice forming in your body, and it hurts like hell. But it's been confirmed in people that freeze to death that right before you die, you experience a sensation of heat that's so powerful that you'll strip off all of your clothing. So people who have been frozen to death in the snow are sometimes confused for rape victims that were left to die because they're found naked.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah. But they experience such an intense burst of heat shortly before they die that they completely strip their bodies of clothing, and then that's it. So freezing to death or being burned alive are two ways that you do not want to die. And those are the two ways that Yinko and Yinko would kill you, fire and ice. And those would be excruciating ways to go, and that's what would make them so terrifying.
So basically, if your wolf guy can terrify people through that, basically, screw anybody who's.
It has to be a behavior. Oh, he might look cute with those ears and tail, but you got to take into account that wolves can fuck you up.
They can fuck you up,
Yeah,
sure.
I've seen what they can do.
I have too.
I mean, they're no worse than bears, but I've seen what a pack of wolves can do.
But here's the fun thing, though: a bear is more likely to try to attack you than a wolf is, and
That's why I
a
like.
good chunk of it. That's because of their natures and personalities. Most of the people who have been mauled by wolves in the U.S. are not purposely attacked.
The wolf?
They're not purposely attacked. It's they've done something that has made the wolf behave in an odd way. Like some people have been attacked by wolves because the wolves were hungry, but they weren't trying to kill the people. They were trying to get the food that the people have. Because people visit these national parks, make the mistake of feeding the wildlife. The wildlife becomes partially domesticated and forgets how to hunt. So then it starts to rely on those visitors for everything, and that can make them aggressive. And it's just because they're that hungry, they can't go fend for themselves anymore.
Right.
And that unfortunately results in the animal being killed because it harmed a person. But at the same time, there are other instances like you go to sleep in a national park if you're camping. They want you to sleep in a tent for a reason. Not just because it'll keep the bugs away, but because it's been proven that the wolves see your sleeping bags and think there's something to play with. And they'll sit there and they're not trying to hurt you. They think they found something to play with, like it's a discarded piece of fur. Because they're animals, they do find toys. But because they've got such sharp teeth and such dangerous feet and all that stuff, they don't realize there's a person in there. So when you start screaming and freaking out, they don't know how to react. Most wolf attacks are not intentional attacks. They're done because people around them were idiots.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like, I did a study on it at one point. Of the 27 or so attacks that were done in 1 year, only 3 of them proved fatal from the injuries. And the situations it was proven that it was not the animal's fault that the person was attacked in the first place. Not entirely.
If I saw a wild animal, the last thing I would want to do is try to, like...
lure it to me with food?
Well, I'd probably throw the food to it, then I'd just walk off.
Well, that's one way to distract it.
Yeah, just throw it in the direction it'd follow and I'd walk off.
The only thing I really could advise with Roger is that you want to keep him part wolf, go for it, but you might want to incorporate some wolf traits into him. Kind of create that whole kind of unhinged animal hybrid personality that goes with so many hybrids.
Plus, I gave him the perspective of being protective, like, what was that? Sorry. And recently I gave him the ability to, you know how Leon can talk to different kinds of animals?
Yeah, he communicates especially well with reptiles.
But Roger, he can communicate with wolves. And I'm even thinking about adding to the story where he gets a couple of wolves who were well, he starts off with a couple of wolves, but then it slowly comes into a pack, and then he has like a whole pack of wolves like surrounding him.
which can
Have a feral
realistically
child
happen
thing.
if they come to view him as the alpha. But you got to take into account that in most cases with lone wolves, it's males and females who have specifically left their own pack, seeking to start their own.
I mean, it's a work in progress.
One thing that might make sense in that aspect is because wolves do get into some pretty intense brawls over territory. There have been a number of studies like they'll go in and they'll try to kill each other's young, or they'll prevent the adults from one pack of getting into the den with the pups, and they'll guard that area until those pups starve to death, and then they'll leave. There's just a number of things that these things will do, and it depends on how they want to go around doing it. One thing that might make sense is poaching is a thing. He might rescue a couple of wolf pups, and they'll come to view him as alpha.
That I can't even talk. I can't even talk. But yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea.
But you gotta just kind of know what you're working with. Like, maybe he's gone into an area where poaching's a thing, and adult wolves have been killed left and right, but they're taking the cubs alive to sell them to stores and all that stuff. So he rescues the pups. Or maybe he just stumbled onto the aftermath of some kind of a wolf pack war zone, and the adults are wounded and not wanting to take care of their pups, or trying to kill the pups of the wolf clan that was defeated, and he just goes in and snatches them.
But how old do you think the pups had to be before they started imprinting on him as the alpha?
I really don't think they'd have to be that old, because wolves will do a whole fight for dominance type thing. They establish their rank, especially at puppies, where a couple of puppies will sit there and they'll fight regularly until one of them submits to the other. And when that one submits to the other, they'll roll over onto their back, flatten their ears. They might snarl a bit, but it's them accepting the other wolf as the dominant wolf over them. That's sort of how they have their rank. The alphas are the alphas just because they're the mommy and the daddy. The betas are the ones that manage to basically dominate their brothers and sisters. And the omegas are the more submissive members of the group. So he might have just gotten lucky and caught a couple of wolves that were naturally submissive. But at the same time, the younger the pup, the more likely they are to imprint on him.
Figured it'd be a little easier for him since he's part wolf in a way.
They would recognize him as such, especially if he had some sort of a trait or a behavior to it. But there's also the situation of you can take one animal and give it to another animal, and if that's done early enough in life, they will assume that that animal that raised them, that that's what they are. There are situations where cats will act exactly like dogs because as kittens they were nursed by dogs. Or there'll be dogs that think they're cats because these puppies wound up orphaned and the mother cat took them in and cared for them, so they assume they're a cat. And then there's even situations where chickens have raised ducks and all that stuff. There was even a recent documentary that I watched where a cat wound up becoming the foster mother to a group of ducklings, as amazing as that sounds. It's a thing that actually happened. There were eggs that were going to be hatched in a barn. And their cat found these chicks right after they hatched, and the cat had just had babies within a certain amount of time. So when she found these newborn ducklings, because her mothering instincts were still intact, she had to come and take and nurture any small little trembling creature she could find. So she took in these ducklings along with her kittens and raised them, and somehow along the lines the ducklings figured out that the mother cat gave milk and that it was good food, and they suckled on the cat.
I mean, if you want to play with the idea, you could go a number of different ways with it.
Has an animal ever imprinted on a human?
They do. Especially if they can recognize that human as a parent figure. Like, if a person has been the one caring for you since before you opened your eyes and before you could physically hear them, by the time you open your eyes and see them caring for you, you assume that that is mommy. Like, I'll use ducks and geese as an example because this has happened. I raised a number of geese when I was in Oregon and a few when I was down in Arizona again. But we hatched them from eggs. And with ducks, it's most well known, the first thing they see or hear they think is mommy. But with geese, as long as you have a small enough number of them, if you're the one taking care of them, keeping them warm and all this stuff, they assume you're mommy, and they'll follow you everywhere. The first goose that happened to, it was a male goose. We found out later on that he was a boy. Hatched him from an egg. And because birds are so delicate when they're first born, they can't keep themselves warm. So I had to keep the little goose in bed with me. And it would climb up under my neck and try to keep warm, so I had to start wearing my hair in a ponytail. And then when I'd take it out of my bed, it'd follow me around everywhere. It would look for me. And when it was big enough to be put outside, it wouldn't leave the back door unless I went out there with it, because I was mommy. And then even when it was big enough to fly, it only really flew to get closer to me. I would leave for work, and it would try to fly over the fence to follow me, or it would realize that I've gone into the backyard and say, "Hey, there's mommy. Wait for me, mommy." It would fly towards me, and it would just land and follow me around. It was the cutest little thing. It was like we had this goose trained to come inside every night and walk directly into a dog kennel and lay down and go to sleep.
Aww.
It was the cutest. You go outside around 7 o'clock at night, see that goose standing on the back porch waiting for you. Open the door, he walks in through the back door, through the kitchen, into the living room, and directly into the doggy kennel. Then sits down and waits for you to shut the door.
That is so cute.
So if done correctly, yes, an animal will imprint on a person, and they will assume that that person is their parent.
Do you happen to be curious about much else?
So realistically, yes, if Roger was to get pups that were young enough and take care of them, they would assume that he was their father, depending on milk.
Dear, I hope you know my mind went in the perfect direction when you said that.
I kind of felt that for a moment. I felt that rush up my spine, like, oh wait, did that sound dirty? Kind of, did that sound dirty, or was that just me? I don't mean that he breastfed them or did anything creepy. I mean he bottle fed the wolves.
Maybe he did do something kinky. Maybe Roger is mommy.
Or like, who's your daddy? Oh, I knew we'd wind up going in a dirty direction eventually.
Naturally.
He had a hard not to have us write so much stuff. But there's just a number of ways you can take it with a character. They don't have to look scary to be scary. Some of the most beautiful creatures in the world that you can find, or some of the most beautiful plants that you can find, are the ones that will genuinely do the worst damage to you if you're confronted by them. Let's use the blue ring octopus as an example.
Oh yeah.
they are absolutely beautiful. And people see them, and because they're idiots, they think, oh my god, what a beautiful little creature, I gotta pick it up. They don't realize that those little rings, as beautiful they are a show of aggression and warning, saying, hey, don't mess with me. And then they pick them up, and they get bit, and they wind up dead because of the neurotoxins in the blue-ringed octopus's spit.
Hey, add on to that, there are these, I think they're called blue rose tarantulas. They're very, very pretty blue tarantulas that everybody who wants a tarantula and doesn't know anything tries to get. But they're the most aggressive kind and the only kind of tarantula, I think, that actually charges and bites because it wants to. Because it finds it fun.
Let's, what about the monarch butterfly? The monarch butterfly is basically harmless unless you try to eat it. And the entire reason that it's as beautiful as it is that those colors are a warning, hey, don't kill and eat me because then you'll die.
To be honest, I'm more of a snake person.
I love snakes. I love birds too. You know, there are actually 3 different species of poisonous birds.
Really?
They have the same kind of toxin in them as the poison dart frog. And the entire reason the poison dart frog has that toxin in it is because of the beetles that it eats.
So you think these birds
they're immune to the toxins found in those beetles, and therefore the poisons remain in their bodies.
Huh.
They're kind of parasitic in that sense. I eat all these toxic beetles, and therefore you try to eat me, you're going to get fucked up.
It's like
that sounds very interesting.
Yeah, the amount of research on all this crap that I do, huh? I have some pretty morbid curiosities to me.
No one can see you. I'm pretty sure most of us have that same morbid curiosity.
Yeah. But, yeah. To kind of recap. Like, when I actually did that journal, I know someone actually did a rant on that journal. Because I think it was Icy Hazard who did a rant on that journal where I was discussing whether or not the character had to look scary to be a creepypasta.
Oh, yeah. I remember running into that because Icy Hazard threw a bitch fit.
Yeah, I put my foot down and be a bit of a bitch because I'm tired of all the bullshit. And then they decide they have to go and throw a temper tantrum and try to get everybody angry with me.
Well, here's the thing. There was actually several rants that spawned because of that. It wasn't just Icy Hazard. I think Icy Hazard just started the trend. Because after that, it was like, it was a spider web. Where it was a topic everybody had to make. And then on top of that, Icy Hazard, I think, was the first one to jump onto you specifically. And
she was. And
then I think you got back at her, and then from then on, all anybody ever really knew of you was you were Yinko's defender and that person who fought Icy.
Yeah, I fought Icy. I put my fucking foot down with her. Put my foot down with everybody until Ray told me to back off.
She's just an immature kid. Ray is too, but Icy is pretty immature. I mean, she's not technically a kid. I don't actually know their gender.
Whatever. They might not even go by what their biological gender is. For all we know, Icy Hazard is ingender.
I mean, that's true.
Anyway, I don't pay enough attention to them to go and find out.
They are older, but they act very immature. Very childish.
I know
Sorry.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, I know plenty of people like that.
Most of the ranters are like that.
Hey, look. You want to see those? Look at the Jeff fangirls.
Honestly, most of the ranters that I've seen a few good ones. I'll give it credit. Not everybody that did a review on Yinko was an asshole.
No, not everybody was.
There were a select few that were actually very polite about it and tried to do the research, and those are the ones that I can respect. Because they weren't just looking at a picture deciding they knew everything about that character based off of that.
The issue about that, though, was there was so few in comparison to the wall of people who were just very immature about it, that the few good ones were spoiled and drowned out because of it.
Yeah, which does make it unfortunate. But most of the ranters that weren't doing the reviews and doing all that stuff, you hear all of their complaints and you kind of think, wow, what spoiled little rich people you are. Not getting your way, so you have to throw a temper tantrum.
I don't even think it's that they're not getting their way. I think they're just very much so people who live on drama. And as much as they want to disagree, they're very much so people who can't go very long before new drama starts. The new drama starts. The new drama starts. And they wonder why they can't escape drama. Huh.
They keep going back to it. At the same time, a number of them were so hypocritical about stuff. They'd say, oh, you shouldn't be shipping your character with this character because it's never going to be official, and they do it themselves.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, are you doing this just because you think it's stupid, or are you doing it because you're secretly jealous that a ship that isn't your ship is more popular than yours?
Yeah, then I remember that that picture of Inko hugging and all that crap it got.
That was the one that started all of it. And you know what? Mia and I might not be on good terms, but as that thing goes, I'm the one that talked her into posting that picture because I knew that she was going to redo it, and I wanted people to be able to see the before and after. Whether or not she thinks that now, I blame myself for the fact that all that shit happened. Because I was the one that talked her into posting it.
But it's not like it's your fault, because if she was planning on redrawing the picture anyway, she likely would have posted the redraw and the house would have started either way.
That's true, but it's kind of hard not to feel guilty about something if you're the one that convinced them to do it.
I mean, that's understandable, but...
Like, if I talked you into posting a picture you didn't really feel sure about posting, and then suddenly you were harassed over it, of course I'm going to feel like I'm the one that's partially to blame, because I'm the reason you decided to put it there in the first place.
May I say something?
Sure.
Of course.
About that picture. If you ask me, that seems like a better pairing than Toby being paired off with that stupid girl Clockwork.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't make bashes for ships, but Clockwork is a character.
I mean, me personally, I don't like her.
I think her main issue, and sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, it's fine.
I think Clockwork's main issue is that she doesn't have enough about her that makes her individualistic. Other than she has a clock for an eye, which I get why she wanted to do that. The creator wanted to do that for her character, or their character.
It was supposed to be a bit of an exception with her. Your time is up.
Yeah, it was.
And I think that whole your time is. I think realistically, based on, because I've read the story, it was hard to find, but I've read her origin story, and I can say that story does have a few things that could have been worked on, but you got to take into account they were so young when they wrote it. You can't expect it to be God's work on paper.
I mean,
but at the same time, I think that the entire "your time is up" thing for her was a metaphor of you're going fucking insane.
Well, then there's the whole issue that she's another Jeff copycat.
I don't view her as a Jeff copycat, though.
Well, that is such a it's a vague way to put that. A person who's a killer in that very stereotypical sense will always be branded as a Jeff copycat, I think. But the thing about Jeff the Killer is he himself embodies the stereotype of what you think of when you think serial killer.
At the same time, he's such a shitty character, though.
I mean, so anytime we think of serial killer, we think...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So anytime we think of serial killer, we think of a dark raven-haired, prepubescent, pale-skinned teenager.
I don't think that's exactly what Nina meant. I think what she meant was every time we think of serial killer, we think somebody with a mental disorder, with a bit of an addiction, be it alcohol, drugs, or so on, who is just doing it for shits and giggles or because they're mentally insane.
Well,
Yeah.
that's just. I mean, I'm not saying it. I didn't say it to be like, disrespectful or anything. I was just,
No. I see what you're trying to say though. You meant more visually they're similar.
But, and the thing is, I when I first read Jeff's story, it did not make a lick of sense to me. I mean, the only parts that made sense to me were like the parts where he got bullied, and then it just went from there. It just went
because those are actually the realistic parts. If you know what bleach does to your skin, you know it doesn't turn it white, and you sure as hell know it won't turn your hair black.
I think there was also an
what will bleach do to your skin?
It is a very powerful skin irritant that will actually turn your skin red. Like if you've ever put your hand in water with bleach in it, because I have, your skin will start to turn very red, like it's getting a rash, or like it's being burned, because that's essentially what bleach does. It burns the skin, but it does not whiten it. It makes it get very red and irritated. The only thing that makes it realistic that he might turn white, though, is because when you get lit on fire, all the scar tissue you're going to get after that is going to look very discolored and pale. So even though he wouldn't be pure white, he'd kind of be kind of glossy looking because of how scar tissue looks. But chances are he wouldn't have any hair, depending on how bad the burns were. But if they're bad enough to do what is done to him in the story, safe to say his fingers are fused together, his toes are fused together, because it gets hot enough and your skin just melts and molds to itself.
Yeah, I mean, there was this talented girl on DeviantArt who actually drew a picture of what Jeff should look like. His skin, like,
patchy and red and all nasty looking. That's probably realistically what he might look like.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean, her picture had him like his skin was all covered in burn marks. His hair was pretty much like in small brown or black tufts. And then all the stuff they did with his eyes and his lips were postmortem.
Realistically speaking, though, Jeff would be blind.
If he even lived at all.
Especially given what he did to his eyes. Like, bleach can blind you, we know that. But at the same time, he was lit on fire. So you light bleach on fire, odds are those chemicals become airborne and do all kinds of shit to you. So if his eyes didn't fuse to his face... Go ahead.
What you were saying on top of that, what he did to his face, if you can't blink, you actually supposedly go blind too, because
you will go blind.
They dry out.
You lose the ability to clear debris out of your face, and you can't really, especially depending on how badly he did it, if you cut off or burn off your eyelids, because in the story he burned them off with a lighter. He made himself go blind.
I'm surprised he isn't
stumbling. Fire directly to his eyeball. So realistically, Jeff would be this thing that would not be able to survive outside of a hospital.
Keep in mind, in the same way that Clockwork's creator was much younger when they wrote her story, I think that is the same for Jeff the Killer. I'm pretty sure their original creator
Jeff the Killer's entire origin story is fan-made. Because Jeff didn't come from the story, he came from an internet meme thing.
Yeah, which was a really stupid.
His original picture
was a mean one.
A photoshopped picture of an overweight lady that killed herself.
Yeah.
So Jeff entirely is not a well thought out character because his story came from basically what was an online joke. A very cruel one depending on...
At the same time, there's Slenderman who started that way too. He started as an online joke, as just pictures that were manipulated.
So is Zolgo,
And-
but Zolgo represents something else entirely.
Zolgo's a whole other meme to himself.
Zolgo is his own meme, and his entire thing was you'd take these well-seen comic strips, and then suddenly you draw one of the characters with their eyes blackened and something leaking from them, and they're saying he comes. Because Zolgo is supposed to be this kind of otherworldly demon type thing. Each of his 7 mouths speaks a different language, and the last of which will open to sing the song that brings about the apocalypse.
Yep.
Zolgo is probably some sort of a representation of Satan because he brings the apocalypse. He might be the Antichrist.
He was literally just supposed to be you corrupted this innocent young thing. How could you? Kind of.
So Zolgo entirely represents Rule 34.
Yeah. Except for
I mean, that's kind of the only way I can think of it, because Zolgo represents corruption of the innocents then, so.
I mean, yeah, that's true. He pretty much does represent Rule 34, so. If it exists, there's porn.
That amused me a lot to think of it in that way. It made me very happy somehow. And I must vacate the premises again because, again, my grandmother calls. She probably wants me to feed her because she won't go get up and get in the fridge.
You can feel free to shoot your question at me.
What?
You can feel free to shoot your question at me.
Okay. Another thing I don't like, I mean, at first I kind of liked Jeff. Well, I mean, I didn't really I didn't really listen to much detail in his story. I kind of liked him at first, and then all this crap started happening. You know, the whole fangirl crap and all that.
Yeah, there's that.
And then there's the whole Jeff is a child. You can't make him an adult or a teen or an older teenager. He's a child.
Realistically, I think Deer did a timeline of it, and I think Jeff the Killer is actually traced along his age closer to 18 at the very least.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking. I mean, it's like some say he was 17, some say he was 18.
That's the bare minimum, I think.
But then there's people that are saying he's a child. You can't be doing that. Some say he was like 12 or 13 at the time.
Canonically, I think he was stated to be 13 in his story, but his story also was given a year, I think, that they put him in. And if you add that up to what year it is now he would be 18, 19.
That makes sense. But I mean, the reason I was saying that is because there was this acquaintance of mine on DeviantArt whom was getting a lot of crap because she pretty much draws like a bunch of yaoi pics of Jeff and LJ. And she was getting a bunch of craps, people saying that Jeff was a minor and she shouldn't be doing that.
No. No. It's art. Sorry, that rule does not apply. It's fiction. It doesn't apply.
Well, I mean, she got banned from DeviantArt because of those idiots. Those people wouldn't shut up about it.
Is this Mokulu? I can't say their username. I apologize.
Yes, that would be them.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I thought that was pretty ridiculous too. Mostly because DeviantArt, she only posted the really tame stuff of her art.
I mean, she didn't post anything bad. I mean, all of her like yaoi pics were the nudie pics were all sent to her Tumblr.
Right.
But that didn't stop people from getting her kicked off of DeviantArt.
People are incredibly immature about that. In the case of fiction, let fiction be fiction, let nonfiction be nonfiction. If it's in the real world, no, I would not say anything that is good. But this is fiction. It's fantasy. It's not real. People really shouldn't throw a fit about that.
I mean,
I'm sure you could agree.
yeah. But I mean, whenever she was still on DeviantArt, I looked at all of her pics, and I did not see nothing that made her look like a pedophile. I mean, all of her pictures, all the people in it were of age. None of them were like children or young teens. Most of them
People
were.
will find
Go
she
ahead.
was probably just doing so well off and had such great art that people decided, I wonder how we can get her kicked off, because what better use of our time? And then they did, because people are assholes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she was a very talented artist. And then they had to run their mouths and get her kicked off of DeviantArt and get her kicked off and get her 2 of her Tumblrs deactivated.
Seriously?
But
Jesus.
I finally found her. After many months of searching, I finally found her.
She might have better luck posting her art on Fur Affinity.
She's been posting a bunch of Undertale stuff now.
Fun. I think I remember the ranters freaking out about some of her art too. It was some of her tamer art too that they were freaking out about.
Well, people don't know how to do anything useful in their time. All they do is want to bicker and complain.
This is true. This is true. But no, in this
Um,
case, I would. What?
I was just gonna ask, has that ever happened to you or Young Guardian here?
What? Have our accounts deactivated or?
Pretty much people starting crap with you, saying stuff about your characters, that
Oh
sort
my
of thing.
god. Yes, actually. Maybe not for Young Guardian's characters, but I had people posting my characters around on Tumblr, all over on these different critique and Mary Sue blogs, mostly Mary Sue blogs, because for one reason or another they decided to just post my characters' bios, and then I would only ever find out about it because I would have someone mention it, and then I started getting so paranoid that I looked up my characters and found walls and walls of these reviews, and I put that in quotations because only a small handful of them were legitimate reviews, of just my characters, and I had run into them in such a bad time that it just caused a huge emotional crash. I stopped my art and I stopped posting any of my bios, and there was so much that happened.
I mean, that sort of thing's only happened twice for me. One, the first instance was with my OC Helena, because she also had an alter ego called Dark Helena, but then later I named her Dorena because it was easier to say.
Right.
And some people were giving her saying she was a Mary Sue, and I was like, why do you call her a Mary Sue? Because she's she's bipolar. Your answer.
Because she's bipolar. That's not like, people are legitimately bipolar in the world. Also, add on to that, not like you asked about the character.
Well, I mean, after they started all that crap, I blocked them.
Probably a smart idea.
And the second incident was with my OC Roger, whom you could probably see in the little icon right here.
Yeah, the fox dog guy.
Yep, he's half wolf.
I said fox, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's fine. He's been called fox and he's been called cat with a fluffy tail. But yeah, I mean the only crap I've gotten with him is because backstory, because I keep having to go back and re-edit it. And then some people saying, "Oh, he can't be a horror or a creepypasta because he's not scary enough."
I believe this is the moment I get to say "Speak of the Devil." Although I could be wrong. Hello, other person. In the case of what you were saying, people always give you crap about your characters, and usually the more creative you try to get with your characters, the more crap you'll get for them.
I mean, recently after I canonly paired him off with Gohana, he hasn't been getting much. Finally paired off. I'm finally found someone.
I mean, I genuinely don't know what you could do to get people to not do that, though. That's the only thing. People will always be assholes.
Well, normally when they start that crap, I just block them.
Usually the best course of action is that, despite what a lot of people think. If someone's trying to rhyme up them, sorry.
That's all right. I was just about to say, well, then again, if you block them, they could just make another account and come back and start crap with you again.
Yeah, but then you block them and then you can always report them to DeviantArt, because technically, block evading should get their original account deactivated. It doesn't always. Most of the time it doesn't, just because DeviantArt is weird like that. But, you can report them and just block them again. And just do that as many times as you need to. I've had people do that too. It's a pain in the butt and they'll harass you, but...
Huh. Sounds like Facebook all over again.
I know.
But you know another thing that I don't understand? You know how some people, like, you can't post nudity on DeviantArt?
Yeah.
You drew a picture of a couple in love or something.
Right.
And you can't post that there, but then you got people that post, like, naked people going at it and nobody says anything.
The issue with that I've run into with DeviantArt is DeviantArt will recognize photos, not drawings, as tasteful nudity in that regard and consider it art. Whereas if it's drawn, they can technically say that it's not meant to be like art. As weird as that sounds.
I mean, and most of those pictures were. That was weird. I don't even know what that was.
I believe our new participant's mic might be on, and that is the feedback.
I thought they were beating something.
It might be something scraped over the mic. Or there's a dying cat.
What is that? I was right. My grandmother wanted to.
Okay, that.
I was checking for my microphone because if I keep with the microphone like so it will sound weird. People before had told me that it sounds like I am underwater, so I had to share for the microphone of some headphones I have on the computer. Hello there, I'm late, but I'm here. I totally forgot because I was in drawing in other things.
Okay. Aside from Ariana showing up while I was away, what did I miss?
Yeah, it's me, the kitty, you know.
I believe it was just mostly just more character conversations, and I believe you have a question potentially coming your way.
Um,
Unless I'm
uh, by the way, Sarah, how have you been? It's been so long time I've been know about you.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time since we've actually talked.
Yeah, I remember you always had problem with Sky, so for that it was complicated to see you, and sometimes it's been days I didn't see you, and well, now it's been months I didn't see you in this first Sky.
I actually don't know if I gave you my new Skype
Oh, I see.
because I changed the Skype I was using at the time was connected to my Facebook. But when I got a tablet and
Oh,
could only use a tablet to be on Skype, I had to get a new Skype account. I don't know if I ever
I
gave it to you.
see.
I only
Well,
recently got
uh,
Buffalo back.
well, at least I got you in the webinar. Any content is good because I can at least content you anytime. I was actually very busy this day, all the afternoon, because I am doing the October, so it's quite hard because I am doing like all the way out all the days.
Hmm.
Well, um, talking about DVNR, you will notice I was very naughty. This semester was very hard. It started very hard actually. I have like no free time at all, and like I think the most crazy idea I had this month was to decorate over having this month so difficult.
School can make everything difficult, especially in your online life as far as art goes. I'm pretty sure schooling was a good
Mm.
chunk of why Sabrina Nightmare and had to give up on the Creeps comic.
Mm.
Being in university or in college can just make it very difficult for you to find the free time that doesn't get involved with rest time.
Uh, Yeah. Mm. I it's funny because right now I was like making a join me, and well, that's one of the reasons why it was so out. And well, like I don't know. I think I really want to talk and see how the team was going, but right now that I am in, my head goes all blank. It happens to me a lot when I had to talk with people. So talking about I don't know the all good times. I think I still have in mind. Remember the role play about the creepypastas? Remember about it?
Yeah, I remember that with Zolgo and Laughing Jack and all of them. I don't
Yeah,
remember a lot, but
I
I remember it.
yeah, I I still got the idea like wow, so many years has passed, but anything past is like I even make like I am remaking the ideas. I am like fixing the storyline, so I am when things we have about it, I am taking reference so I can make the finally a comic or something like that, and we'll see how the things are going. But it's still going on. It's still on hold because I need to get many as possible before posted. So it would be like I don't want you to abandon it. So I am still it's still going. But thanks to it, I have even making new seeds. So in the start, remember where in the start Vincent told me, well, a little that changed to put Vixen in the comic and Jack, and you know you use nickname because I love it, and everybody it will be like a totally remake because everything will change since the start.
A lot of changes.
Yeah, it keeps still the principal idea, but change like a bit of the personality of the characters and about the relationships. Even the relationship like the start with Salvo, it can be a bit. It can still be like a hate-love relationship, but it will be with Marshall, like and more of the thoughts of Simon and I am talking with you, but the, this this thing has zero show.
I remember when we were actually doing the RP, I was saying Zolgo was just a dick. His entire character was possessive, let me sex you up dick.
Yeah, Jack is still Jack will always still be in the comic like all the Jacks. I mean, not literally all the Jacks because many characters, Laughing Jack, Angelus Jack, your Jack, and Leon. Everybody, everybody's
Lots of
here.
jacks.
Like
Too many jacks.
par, party rock, party rock. But yeah, the comic will get more chill, like more Hakuna Matata or something like that because the uh, I don't know how to say that. I forgot the word in English. Sorry, but like the evolution of the character and their personality will be a bit more detailed. So I hope to do it great.
Oh, I think you will. I like your art style a lot.
Thank you. And I really have. Lately, I have been like drawing concepts and the reference. So
Good night, young
once I get all
guardian.
the reference.
I'm gonna go hit the hay.
That's fair. The stream's probably gonna end a little bit soon. My
Okay.
grandmother isn't gonna leave me
Um,
alone.
Well, good night. I hope you sleep. I hope you sleep well.
So do I.
have a good night. Had a good night. Sleep well. Well, right. How was saying, I got there. I am making like a lot of reference because once I get all the reference like the conceptual art, like I will start to go for the comic then.
Okay. Unfortunately, I do think I have to stop the stream. My grandmother is not going to leave me alone.
The grandmother is now amused.
She's very, very needy at
Yeah,
times, and I think she's tired of
yeah, I
it.
know. Yeah,
She's
I
tired.
know that feel. My older sister sometimes is like that when I am speaking out too late at my night. So yeah, I know that feel. I feel you. I really feel you. Um, I will be trying to keep the contact again because I really want to talk to you again and start
I'm going
to
to, because
tell things.
I don't think I actually gave you my new site. I'm going to send you the name of my new site so that you can find me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's the entire
Well, we
reason.
can. Yeah, I think we can. Obviously, when you get time, we can always shake the notes, get notes in DeviantArt, send you a
Yes,
note, so we can talk by notes.
yes, yes. I'm going to
Yeah.
go ahead and end the call now. I don't know how long
Okay.
you were here, but I hope you had fun in the midst of things.
You two have a good night. Really sleep well, and we will see you.
Sleep well, and hopefully classes are easier on you.